Every financial website that I go to right now has articles about oil. Let's go to CNBC.com. Oil could have markets over a barrel as Fed looms. Another article that's highlighted. Bill Richardson, why oil prices could drop to $45 a barrel. Let's go to finance at Business Insider. The oil crash is not the biggest story in the global markets right now. Okay, let's go to Zero Hedge right now. Crude carnage contagion, biggest stock bloodbath in 3 years, credit crashes. So let's scroll down here. The 550 billion mania ends badly. Energy companies are shut out of the credit market. Okay, so you see all these negative and bearish headlines about oil prices going down. And Zero Hedge has an interesting take on it, how energy companies are shut out of the credit market. Well, what I talked about in one video, it must have been 2 weeks ago, and I talked about an interview for a podcast, that the junk bond market financed this shale revolution in Texas, North Dakota, etc., right? And long story short, it propped the market up, but then when the market goes down, this junk bond market is going to be infected. Now it depends how long oil prices are going to be low. If they're low for a short period of time, maybe less than a month, then it's not going to affect the market too much. But if you have a longer period of time where it affects this junk bond market, it could be leading to contagion. Just as a disclosure, I did buy the RSX ETF last week and OIH ETF. I bought this around when oil was at $67 a barrel. Right, and now it has gone down roughly $8. So that I just needed to get that out of the way. It's not a lot of shares, but still wanted to let you know what I did. And I understand that the market could go down lower. I'm not trading this. I mean, I do trade some stocks in ETFs, but just wanted to point that out there. Anyways, going back to this situation, right? So you see all these headlines about oil, right? But you don't see too many headlines about Russia, right? I mean, Russian stock market is getting smoked. I mean, yes, you do see articles about the Russian stock market, but what I'm trying to say is you don't see the situation, what's going on with the United States and Russia. That is pushed behind, or that is pushed further along in the news cycle, and no one really pays attention to it. You have to remember what Russia did to tick off the United States earlier this year, and we could revisit that, right? Everyone's talking about oil crash, but if you want to look at why oil is crashing, one of the reasons is, hey, economies all over the world are slowing down. 2, this could be a deflationary head fake scenario, which I've talked about. And 3, it's Russia going against the petrodollar system, which no one's really talking about right now. I mean, yes, some alternative media sources are talking about it, but let's just look at what he did. Let's go to the Washington Times. Let's go back over a year ago. Russia's Putin nominated for Nobel Peace Prize. And this is, in my opinion, why the United States does not like what the Russians have been doing under the leadership of Putin. Let's go through this. Russian President Vladimir Putin was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by an advocacy group that credits him with bringing about a peaceful resolution to the Syrian-U.S. dispute over chemical weapons. The Russian advocacy group International Academy of Spiritual Unity and Cooperation of Peoples in the World nominated Putin, characterizing his forged agreement with Syrian President Bashar Assad to turn over admitted chemical weapons cache to international authorities, a world-class and prizeworthy piece of diplomacy, United Press International reported. The group also took a dig at the United States. While announcing the nomination during a press conference in Moscow, group officials said that Mr. Putin deserved the Peace Prize much more than President Obama, who won the recognition in 2009. This is really quite interesting because Obama launches these drones in Pakistan and is doing torture, right? Engaging in torture just the way that the Bush administration did, and Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize while people are shunning Vladimir Putin, right? I mean, yes, he is an ex-KGB operative, and yes, he is not a saint. I have to repeat that. However, at the end of the day, is he doing the same things as Obama's doing? Well, some people may say that, hey, they invaded Ukraine, this and that. But if you look at deep down, is the CIA involved in trying to scapegoat Russia? To try to scapegoat Putin? That's a question you have to ask, because with the United States government always intervening in these countries, you don't know what's going on. I mean, you don't know if the media is telling you the truth. The media told us that Bush found WMDs on Saddam Hussein. There are no WMDs, right? And we have to go back, even if you want to go to Vietnam, right? We went into Vietnam with the Gulf of Tonkin, right? The Gulf of Tonkin never existed, or never occurred, and we went to Vietnam, which led to, unfortunately, many millions of Vietnamese getting affected by that, and also American troops getting hurt by that in many types of ways. So if you look at what the US has said, I'm quite skeptical of what the media reports, right? Whether they're Republican, Democrat, whatever, right? They're all the same to me. So, long story short, it seems that Russia has been interfering with plans of the global elite, right? With, number one, Russia trying to have a sphere of influence upon Ukraine, and also to try to stop the war in Syria, right? It seems that we would have invaded Syria like we invaded Iraq, but thanks to Putin, he made sure that we didn't have war in Syria. So that's a plus to him, even though I don't like Putin in some regards, right? But at the end of the day, he should get props for that. For Ukraine, I don't know what on earth happened. Alright, so I'm going to go to this article again, which I showed you before. This is Ron Paul's article about why the U.S. hates Iraq, Iran, and Venezuela. This was in 2006, and I think this was one of his speeches that he made. Anyways, if you want to go to part of this article here, let's read this. In November 2000, Saddam Hussein demanded euros for his oil. His arrogance was a threat to the dollar. His lack of military might was never a threat. At first cabinet meeting with the administration 2001, as reported by Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill, the major topic was how we could get rid of Saddam Hussein. Even though there's no evidence whatsoever he posed a threat to us. And then it goes on to this paragraph. There's no public talk of removing Saddam Hussein because of his attack on the integrity of the dollar as a reserve currency by selling oil in euros. Many believe this was the real reason for our obsession with Iraq. I doubt it was the only reason, but it may have well played a significant role in our motivation to wage war. Within a very short period after military victory, all Iraqi oil sales were carried out in US dollars. The euro was abandoned. So we could pretty much deduce why we went to Iraq is if everyone started to get rid of the dollar in terms of trading, in terms of bilateral trade agreements, then this would spark the end for the US dollar. And we went to war because of this petrodollar system, the threat of abandoning this petrodollar system by Saddam Hussein. Now, if you want to look at Gaddafi, I showed you articles about that as well. I'm going to summarize it. He wanted to go back on a gold-backed dinar. Didn't happen. All of a sudden, they took him out, right? And, yes, The United States had a role in that. So now you have to ask yourself this question now. Oil is at $57 a barrel. I'm looking at it right now, 57.81. Earlier this year, it was close to $110 a barrel. Or maybe like 100 some dollars a barrel. Last year, 110, right? Close to the top. Could have gone to 115-ish as well. Anyways, that's more than a 40% haircut within a year, while the stock market's making an all-time high. And some people, once again, may argue that, hey, it's deflation, this and that. We see these patterns in the chart saying that it's going to go down, and I do follow some people that have said that, have been accurate. Some people on my YouTube wall have posted that as well. Oil is going to go down. They were right. Now, that being said, you have to ask yourself this question. If oil keeps on going down this low, in my opinion, it's going to create problems in the credit markets. And also, it is already creating problems in the credit markets. But what's going to end up happening is it's going to create problems in the junk bond market that could lead to contagion. So, that being said, what I feel is going to happen is oil goes down lower, then more disruptions in our system. What are central bankers going to do? I think it's first going to come from Europe. They're going to have more QE. And then if that does not put the band-aid over the situation, the United States or the Federal Reserve is going to come out with QE, right, to stem the bleeding from this. But at the same time, the United States does not like Russia, does not like Putin. So what they're maybe hoping for, in my opinion, is they want Putin out. And if Putin goes out, right, they get a leader that is more friendly with the United States in the eyes of the elite running this country. And once you have that situation, I wouldn't be surprised if oil starts to rally again. You have quantitative easing at that time to revive the economy, or try to revive the economy, even though we know QE does not work. And then we're going to start to see the markets go higher, especially the energy stock market, or the stocks that are energy bound. But that's how I see it, guys. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, this is a weird situation where the price of oil is below the cost of production for most of these oil refiners. Some can operate at these levels, but majority of them cannot. So, looking at supply and demand, it seems that oil should have bottomed out no less than $70 a barrel, in my opinion. But due to this manipulation that's going on right now, it just seems that, hey, they want to go after Russia. What do you guys think? You think this is authentic? That there's no rigging going on? Or what? Is this a way to get back at Russia? I think part of the reason is. Part of the reason also is the market's acting up, right? The recovery is slowing all over the world. Maybe except India right now. But anyways, let me know, guys. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.